So, um, last week, if you were here or even watched episode 181, at the start of the show, I actually came up with an idea to kind of break down the idea of Cyberfest, URL festivals, and kind of virtual festivals in general, right? So that'll be what we talk about here today for a few minutes because a lot of people are foreign to that idea. They've never heard of it, they've never played one, and then some people are like, "Oh yeah, URL festival." So we're gonna break that down and kind of go into detail for anybody that isn't really familiar with the process or how everything works. So, um, what is Cyberfest? I think the real question here is not what is Cyberfest. We got to start really simple, right? So I think we got to talk about what is a virtual show? What is a virtual festival? What is a URL festival? I think the terms are kind of all the same, right? So you can really call it a URL festival. You could call it a virtual festival, whatever you really want to call it. Internet show, you know what I mean? Like you could really call it whatever. But I think the first one that I was ever a part of was Vampalooza and UVC, the old platform that myself and a few other creators built. Hosted one like right before the pandemic, so like probably like 2019. And then 2020 rolled around, and of course the pandemic happened. So this whole concept of a virtual festival and a URL festival became almost instantly super popular. And it became very trendy for quite a while there, right? So that was really the bigger idea behind that. But people were doing them here and there before the pandemic. It wasn't a new thing. I would say that the pandemic just really it made it popular, right? And it kind of spread like a mainstream kind of light on it. Like there was a large chunk of like mainstream artists, you know, names like Halsey and fucking so many others just did like these virtual concerts, right? Where they'd go into like a private studio or some shit like that. And you could buy like a virtual ticket and you'd be in like this chat room and you'd see like a essentially a virtual show, but you are in the audience. So that became like super popular, right? But when it comes down to like a URL festival, underground style and really like DIY shit, um, I had experience with these shows prior, right? Because Vampalooza and just kind of like running that whole operation. Um, I think in 2022, like the beginning of the year, is when I came up with the idea for Cyberfest. Music Mondays wasn't that um like we didn't have the audience and community that we do now, right? We were probably like half this size. And I knew I wanted to do a festival like that. I just didn't know if A, we could get like a solid enough lineup that people would actually care, and B, would people actually attend, right? How much of a success rate would it have? So eventually we hosted Cyberfest in I think November or December of 2022. It was definitely more like way towards the end of the year. Um, but essentially, what Cyberfest is and what these kind of smaller underground festivals are, usually they're hosted in Discord. I don't really know of anybody who hosts them anywhere else because not a lot of platforms are as interactive as Discord. So when it comes to most URL festivals, you'll see a lot of people just host them in Discord for that accessibility reason, right? So I think that's one thing to note for sure is like 90% of these festivals are played and attended in Discord. And that's how Cyberfest was ran as well. So essentially, for those of you that know Discord, things have changed over the course of the last 2 years or so, right? Like Discord in 2022 was much different than Discord in 2024. Um, so when we hosted Cyberfest 1, we didn't have a lot of the cool features that Discord has now, right? It was kind of like bare bones, and essentially, we'd all be in a voice channel, right? There would be kind of people with roles, right? So not like everybody was like talking and da 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 da. Mostly people would talk through the chat, and the only people that usually would have permission were either the host, like myself, right, or an artist who's about to play their set. And we would kind of control all the sets via a Discord bot. So whatever bot you find, you know, suitable to play music whether it be SoundCloud links, YouTube links, or anything like that. That's usually how music is played, right? And that was usually how the process would go. So everybody would kind of attend. Everybody would be talking in the chat, just spamming gifs and emotes and shit like that. And then an artist would come on stage. They'd usually do like a 2-second introduction, mute back up. We'd play their set. Everybody would react to it. And then, they'd be like, all right, yeah, thanks, da-da-da-da. And then it would just kind of like roll through everybody's set. So it was essentially a online festival, like you're kind of picturing in your head. So the easier way to do these festivals, right, is through MP3s and waves and private links and things like that. But for the people that do have the setups for it, you can definitely do a live set, right? So if you have the gear for it and you have the ability to use something like virtual cam or OBS or something like that, you could definitely like do a live performance right then and there. That's also an option, but it's just much harder for people that don't have the gear, obviously, right? So most people put together like a 10-15 minute set through MP3, and much like a real set that you would perform anywhere else, right? I mean, it's not that different from a live show, especially if you've ever played a show before, right? It's same thing. You fucking email the DJ, here's my set, or you walk up with a thumbnail, here's my here's my set, and da 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 da. So, that's kind of like the short and sweet process. But you can see the whole thing go down on our YouTube channel. We have the full show. I think it's like a 6 or 7 hour show. We had like probably like 25-30 artists in Cyberfest 1. So it was a long day and it was a long set, right? Like it was a super long show, and it was one of those that was like it couldn't have turned out any better, realistically. But if you're interested in like a more visual experience on like what it looks like and like how it sounds and what the transitions look like, we'll definitely link the Cyberfest VOD in the description of this video, so you guys can go check that out. Or if you want to go check it out on our channel now, definitely go check that out. But yeah, I mean, we've had a couple of different sets when it comes down to that. So when it comes down to the 3 different types, some people can also do visuals with their MP3 sets, right? So you can come through and share your screen and like play like a private video that you've edited and put together with your whole set, right? So there's like multiple ways to like perform a set. We pretty much had like a good mix of everything during Cyberfest 1. We had a couple live performances. We had obviously just regular audio sets, and we had people that already had like pre-made visuals. So it was a good mix. But I think at that time we only had like 700 followers on Twitter. We only had like a couple hundred on Instagram. The Discord was only like maybe 50-60 people deep. It was pretty it was early Music Mondays days for sure. And it turned out so well for like what it was, and I think the reception was like really cool to see, because a lot of people just either really enjoyed it because they attended, or it was somebody who just saw the event from afar and was like, wow, that's a really cool idea. Because I mean, like at the start of the pandemic it was popular, but you got to remember, like in 2022 everybody kind of got used to that whole thing, you know what I mean? Everybody was kind of used to the whole lockdown idea and blah 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 blah. I mean, it'd been 2 years, so that was where it almost got like reintroduced, you know what I mean? And people were really happy with it. So we focused on a lot of content in 2023. We focused on aesthetics and our branding, and we got a new logo and things like that. So we didn't end up doing one in 2023. But this year we definitely want to do Cyberfest 2. Bigger and better and more easier now that Discord is fucking updated like 40 times in the last 2 years. Like, they have a full stage feature now that was not a thing 2 years ago. Like, it's quite literally like made for virtual events. There's like a stage, and then there's like an audience, right? So like if you set up certain channels for this, you don't have to do roles or anything complex. Like, if you're in the audience, you're in the audience, and then if you're in the stage, you're in the stage. So it's like super simple now and like 10 times easier. So that's what I'm really excited about, especially like hosting the event. Because that was a bitch the first time. I'd say like that was like the only thing that was like really annoying, was like making sure that people had like proper permissions and weren't like able to talk when they weren't supposed to talk. But since Discord, updated a lot, and um, really added a bunch of whole new features, it's like 10 times easier, right? Because people were hosting virtual events. Because people host press conferences and kind of like meetings and so much stuff on Discord, right? Like not just shows. So it's a useful feature for a lot of stuff. But that's the route that we'll be going. We're definitely aiming for like the same time this year, like probably like a 6-hour festival. Some like 3 to 9 kind of shit, maybe some like late night shit. Like if it goes over like a little while, it's not a big deal. But that's kind of like the rough idea of it and what we're shooting for. So like I said at the start of the show, we're going to be putting together a list of artists. We're going to be asking the community who they want to see, and we're going to finalize a flyer. We're going to make sure everybody knows the drill, and probably send them this video too, because it's kind of a pretty a pretty decent breakdown of the drill if you don't know what a virtual festival is. So, if you do have any other questions, concerns, definitely drop it in the comments, send us a tweet, send us a message, because we'll be spending the next few weeks, maybe like the next month or so, kind of ironing out Cyberfest 2. So again, keep your eyes peeled for all that good jazz, and this will be on the channel, so make sure you subscribe to the channel. We're on the road to 290. We upload 2 times a week, every Thursday, every Saturday. Full podcast episodes, exclusive segments, whole lot of good jazz over there, man. So go show the channel and this video some love. Let's get it.